Okay, good evening, my dear future chartered accountants. Some of the future chartered accountants are uh, looking very, very happy. I don't know why. Most of you. Is it because the class are getting over? Okay, I understand the happiness. Or sometimes when things go completely out of control, we don't have anything else but to laugh at ourselves. Maybe I don't know what that is the reason. Anyway, we are doing the standard Ind AS 116 leases. Essential differences was that we had twin modifications for lessor as well as lessee, but as per this new standard it continues only for lessor, whereas lessee, that alternative of financing lease and operating lease, do not apply. And what does apply? Only the exempted leases and regular leases. In that context, we understood the basics. What is lease? Essentially, there has to be a right to control the use of the asset, ROU, right to control the use of the asset. Whoever has it, I mean, if lessee has it, then lease agreement exists. If the supplier has it, this standard don't apply. In the context of lease payments, lease term, we understood lease term means basically a non-cancelable period for which both parties can enforce their rights and obligations. If both the parties have got option to terminate, that part is not considered for lease term. And option to extend or option to terminate, based on reasonable certainty, you can decide whether to include or not. Regarding lease payments, we were doing yesterday, it comprises of fixed payments, and any incentives recovered by lessee from lessor is subtracted. Variable payments which are connected with index or rate are part of lease payments. And also when we say this fixed payments, it also includes, even though in form it might be variable, but in substance they are variable in nature. For example, if it is multiple methods, whichever is higher kind of thing, one of them will definitely a payable amount. So in legal terms, they might have variability is there, but in substance one of them is payable, so it is fixed in nature. Exercise price or purchase option can be considered, depends on the intention and expectation. Penalties for termination, again, can be considered if you are expecting that the lease will be terminated and the amount becomes payable. Residual value for lessee, only guaranteed by him will be considered. For a lessor, guaranteed by him, lessee related party as well as third party is considered. And therefore what is not considered is non-lease components, and we have discussed what is lease and non-lease components, and variable payments that are not depending on index or rate, index like CPI, inflation, interest rates and so on. And also if you apply the practical expedient of short-term lease and low value items, then this lease payment part, you need not break it down into lease component and non-lease component. Okay, so we have discussed these points. I think we had to do some problems. How many questions we had done yesterday? 17, okay. To that extent you are alive, good. You are not completely out of control. Entity Q enters into a 7-year lease for a piece of machinery. The contract sets out the lease payment as follows. If Q uses the machinery within a given month, then amount of 2,000 accrues for that month. If Q does not use the machinery within a given month, then amount of 1,000 accrues for that month. What is considered as lease payments in this case? So for a particular year, if you make use of the assets, then it becomes 2,000. If you don't make use of the asset within a month, then it becomes 1,000. So which amount is considered as lease payment? So first of all, is it fixed in nature or variable in nature? Fixed, how much then? When you don't know what amount, it is not called as fixed. When it may be 1,000, it may be 2,000. So when you look at it on the face of it, it is variable lease payment. But one of them has to be paid. So either 1,000 or 2,000. Therefore, to the extent of 1,000 is definitely unavoidable. It is to be paid. So 1,000 will take it as though variable, but they are fixed in substance. Balance 1,000, additional 1,000, that is uncertainty is there depending on your usage, that we keep it as variable lease payment. So for the purpose of lease payment, 1,000 is considered. The additional 1,000 is not considered. Okay, so let us write down the solution for that. Okay, on the face, or let's okay, in terms of legal form, lease payments appears to be variable in nature. That is, it depends on whether entity uses the machine or not. So depending on the usage, the payment will vary. Therefore, that is on the face of it, in the legal form, it appears it is variable in nature. But however, payment of ₹1,000 is unavoidable irrespective of different situations. Hence, to the extent of this ₹1,000 is in substance fixed payment and is part of lease payments. Next, 19th, entity P enters into 5-year lease for office space with entity Q. Initial base rent is 1 lakh per month. Rent increases by greater of 1% entities P's generated sales or 2% of previous rental on the each anniversary of the lease commencement date. What are the lease payments for the purpose of measuring lease liability? So first of all, both are variable in nature. I mean, on the face of it again, because one is the percentage of sales, other is it is increasing by 2% every year. Therefore, it is looks like a variable lease payment, but that other one, it is 2% of previous rental rate. So this is like a variable rate, but connected with depending on a rate. That is, index or rate is what the standard provides, but it depends on rate. Therefore, that is definitely, even though variable, it has to be part of lease payment since it is depending on rate. The other one, it is variable in nature, but it is whichever is higher. So again, among these two, one of them is definitely is unavoidable, and to that extent, it is part of lease payments. So let us not write too many sentences, one sentence. Out of the two alternatives, one of them is depending on rate, within brackets, that is 2% on previous rate, which is lease payments, which is variable lease payments depending on rates. Hence, it is part of lease payments. Variable lease payments depending on rate, hence it is part of lease payments. And do you understand why this lease payment discussion is so important? Don't tell me it will come in the exam, so it is important. Why it is so important? Because from a lessee point of view, when he is measuring at the beginning, he will treat the asset as well as liability. And while measuring liability, we will take it at the present value of lease payments. For that purpose only, we are discussing so much. So variable lease payments, the 2% increase also is considered, and that present value we are going to do it. Just to give an example, in this case, first 1 year you are going to take it as 1 lakh per month for 12 months. Next 1 year you are not going to take 1 lakh, you are going to take 1 lakh 2,000 per month for next 12 months. Next year on 1 lakh 2,000, 2% more. Compounding effect. So those are the amounts we have to discount it, and at present value liability should be recognized. For that purpose only this lease payment is important. What about this extra amount payable, that 1% of the entity sales amount and all? That will come in the year in which it accrues. It is not accounted for the present value part. So all these discussions are very important, because for me to compute the present value at inception, at commencement, whether to consider the lease payments or not. Ultimately, everything will come in P&L account. That is not a issue there. But at the beginning, what will be the value of liability is dependent on the value of lease payments. Fixed lease payments also considered, and variable lease payments which are in substance fixed, variable lease payments which are connected with index or rate are also considered. Okay, that's what this one, 19th. Next. 20th. Company N leases a production line. Lease payment depend on number of operating hours of the production line. That is, N has to pay rupees 1,000 per hour of use. The annual minimum payment is 10 lakh. Expected usage is 1,500 hours. Again, minimum payment, rupees 10 lakh. This is definitely fixed lease payments, and rate per hour, payment based on rate per hour. Expected usage is 1,500 into 1,000, which is 15 lakh, I think. Hence, excess 5 lakh is variable lease payment and not depend on index or rate. Again, don't consider this rate as this rate. That is, this per hour rate is not the rate what the standard talked about. Standard talked about a percentage rate, index or a percentage rate. They were talking about basically inflation element, that part. Not depend on index or rate, therefore this will not be part of lease payments. Index rate meaning it's connected with, I mean, so it's not 1000 per hour, it's based on certain index. Then that 5 lakh is considered. Uncertain, still considered, because it is depending on a percentage. See, things can happen like this. Let's say that every year you are going to make a payment based on index of, let's say, some popularly we use in India CPI, consumer price index for inflation purpose. So in the year 1 it is, let's say, 105. In year 2 it is 110. In year 3 let's say it is 120 for a convenience. So if you fix initial lease rental as 1 lakh, what is going to be your first year lease payment? It will be 1 lakh 5,000, second year 1 lakh 10,000, third year 1 lakh 20,000. And I will not know these index rates in advance, but still I need to make an estimation. And how will I make an estimation? Based on the historical trend. I know what is the average inflation rates in the historical years, how the index have moved on an average in the historical years. Let's say this 105, 110, 120 is my estimated rates. That means while computing my present value, I am going to take 1 lakh 5,000, 1 lakh 10,000 and 1 lakh 20,000. Because these are expectations. Let's say at the end of year 1, it's not 105, it happens to be 107. So I have to pay extra 1 lakh 7,000. That extra 2,000 becomes the additional expense for that year. That I'll close it down. But when my first year amount has got changed, all my subsequent measurement also will change. So I have to remeasure my liability at the end of respective years. That is what is called as lease modification or remeasurement. We'll come to that. So index initially based on the expectations and subsequently you account for the actual rates. Whether that modification to be considered, to what extent to be considered, that is going to be later part of the discussion. Okay, so let us go for the next one, 21. An entity enters into 20-year lease of the property. The lease payments for the first year is 1,000. The lease payments are linked to consumer price index CPI, that is not a floating interest rate, that does not matter. CPI at the beginning of the first year is 100. Lease payments are updated at the end of every second year. At the end of second year, at the end of year 1, CPI is 105. At the end of year 2, CPI is 108. What should be included in lease payments? Okay, first of all, these payments are linked with index, therefore they are part of lease payments. So at the beginning, lease payments are 1,000 per annum for 20 years. We don't know what is going to be the change in index, so we'll just take 1,000 per annum for 20 years. That is at the beginning. At the end of year 1, what is the CPI? lease payments are updated at the end of every second year. Therefore, at the end of year 1, no change. So, lease payments for the remaining term will be 1000 per annum for how many years? 19 years, because 1 year is over. Remaining I'm talking about 19 years. Okay, at the end of year 1, even though it's 105, but I'm not revising because they said lease payments are updated at the end of every second year. So even though 105 change is there, but I'm not considering it because lease payments are not to be applied on lease payments. That's why. At the end of year 2, there is a lease payment. So lease payments need to be updated because they said update at the end of every second year. And what will be the lease payment for remaining number of years? Not 105, 108. That means 1000 into 108 divided by 100, which is equal to 1080 for how many years? For remaining 18 years. So whatever the lease updated number, we keep on taking it for remaining number of years, and lease liability is being remeasured. Whatever liability we already recognized will be remeasured. We'll understand the remeasurement, how to account for it and all subsequently. But just understand there will be a remeasurement. Lease liability will be recalculated. Year 3 will change. Again, as per these terms, I don't know. But if no other information, then this number only will continue. This 1080 only will continue. But they've not mentioned, no, at the end of every second year. So, second year, 4th year, 6th year. That's how the changes will happen. Every second year, correct. Every second. Next. NTTA enters into 5-year lease of office building. Lease payments are 5 lakh per year, and the contract includes additional water charge calculated as 0.5 per liter consumed. Payments are due at the end of year. NTTA elects to apply the practical expedient to combine the lease and non-lease components. Comment. I think that question is not there. Comment. Basically, which will be part of lease payment and which will not be part of lease payment. Okay. Now, first of all, are they variable lease payments? 0.5 per liter consumed. It is a non-lease component. It's a usage of other products and service are transferred. It's a usage of water. It's not connected with the lease assets. Therefore, it is not a lease component, but they use the practical expedient. And what is practical expedient? That is low value items or short term, one of them, I don't know which one of them. So when you are not showing it, when you are not using this lease part, or when you are using practical expedient, you need not show separately the lease component and non-lease components. Therefore, you can just show it as variable lease payment on a total amount in the first year itself, because when you are not I mean, when you're using the practical expedient, the present value of liability and all do not apply. You recognize as and when it is incurred. You don't worry about this lease accounting at all. Therefore, even this water charge also is accounted as and when it is occurred. So we can just say because of practical expedients, water charge, okay, one second, okay. Okay. Because of practical expedient, expense will be recognized in the P&L as and when they are incurred. No, amount is not specified. There is no specific amount that this is low value or not. Only for short term they say 12 months, but for value the amount is not specified. Because they can't do it. The nature of the entity will be different. Okay, just imagine what would be the question if they are not using this practical expedient. Then still 5 lakh will be recognized as present value of liability, and this water charge is recognized in the respective years. That is because it is a non-lease component. And also other way you can say it's a variable amount also. It's not connected with index or rate, but more importantly it's a non-lease component. So even then you would have recognized then 5 lakh as present value, and this water charges as expense as and when they are incurred. Okay. That is 20 seconds regarding the lease payments, but all these things going to have a impact when we go for the accounting, which we'll take up now, that is lessee accounting. So what are the things we are going to account for lessee accounting? We need to pay more attention to lessee accounting only, more than lessor. Why? Because we like lessee more. It sounds more like lessee, so we like it more. The accounting standard modification or the standard fundamental principle is on the lessee books. And assuming that you know already the lease accounting for financing lease and operating lease. With that basic assumption, this is more importance to be given. Okay, so what we are going to understand, initial what will happen, subsequently how do we measure it, and remeasurements we discussed. Liability changed, remeasurement, certain times lease modification also will happen, like lease term may change. That also we discussed. Initially 5 years and later some construction happened, you revised it to renewal period also, and ultimately some presentation, small theory aspect. I mean, for discussion, small theory aspect, practically that becomes more important. But for exam wise, that is not so much important. Okay, first, initial recognition and measurement. On the commencement date, when the lease actually commenced, on that date, you recognize ROU, that is right to use, the right of use of the control of the asset and lease liability. You recognize an asset as well as liability, because lessee gets the control of the asset. So in his books, in the balance sheet, asset has to come. And for that asset, he has not made the payment yet. He is going to make the payment in the form of lease payments. That is what we are going to recognize, lease liability. You recognize an asset as well as liability. Earlier, you used to do only for financing lease, this asset and liability, but now you do for all types of leases except for exemptions. But do you remember at what amount we would have recognized? In the books of lessee, what was the content of AS 19 or Ind AS 17 if you had looked at? It is present value of minimum lease payments or fair value, whichever is lower. That was the AS 19 situation. I understood your situation. Okay. Let us just understand about this sufficient. So you have to recognize an asset as well as liability. So regarding liability, how to measure it? It is present value of lease payments in lease term. In this one simple point, 3 components are there, which we discussed in detail. One is lease payments. We discussed what is lease payment, what is not lease payment. Lease term, how much is lease term, what to consider, what not to consider. And one more point, to compute present value, we need the rate of discounting, which we discussed yesterday. What are the 2 types of discounting rate? Whichever is higher. We had 2 rates. One was interest implicit rate. The other was incremental borrowing rate. Interest implicit rate means the rate at which the present value of lease payments will add up to fair value of the asset, adjusting for initial direct cost and unguaranteed residual value. And incremental borrowing rate means the rate of interest if the lessee had borrowed in similar circumstances for similar amount in the similar term. That's why we also discussed, if lease liability was in foreign currency terms, you have to use the adjusted interest rate as applicable for that respective foreign currency and all. So though it is one simple sentence, present value of lease payments in lease term, this has got so much of history behind it. Okay. If any payments are made before, then you please exclude it. That is also possible. That is before the lease commences. If any prepayments are made, those things are not part of lease liabilities, because lease liability starts from the commencement date. Any payment made before that, that is not used for present value of liabilities. Regarding the assets, it is whatever the amount of liability, initial measurement of liability plus initial direct cost. Initial direct cost is like legal expenses, agreement, stamp duty charges, all those expenses which are incurred to make this lease happen at the beginning. That is initial direct cost, that is added, and payment made before commencement is also added. And one more small point will come. I don't know whether you can guess what could be that point. It was there in Ind AS 16, plant, property, equipment. It's not only the amount that you have spent, but also the amount that you are going to spend. Decommissioning, restoration, that is also to be done. So basically, your journal entry will be your asset account, that is ROU assets, is debited, and what and all is credited. Lease liability, this present value of lease liability is credited, lease payments, lease liability, and initial direct cost is credited. That means, let's say 2 cash, amount spent now, 2 cash, capitalized, not charged to P&L. Then payments made before commencement, I told you it should not consider in lease liability. Then where should be considered? Again here, again 2 cash, the money spent before the lease starts. And 2, the provision for the restoration, dismantling, destroying, whatever it is. So these are the expenses to be considered while recognizing at the beginning in the books of lessee. And one more small point, if any incentives are recovered, that is any amount recovered by lessee from lessor for some improvements made, some expenses, cashback offer kind of thing I told you yesterday, those things are subtracted. So that is cash account is debited. The asset will get reduced to that extent. Okay, so that is initial measurement. Let's quickly look at what will happen in subsequent measurement. You can only think, what will happen to this asset? You will have the right of use not forever, not for the economic life of the asset, only till the end of lease term. Therefore, carrying amount is going to be reduced by depreciation. And any impairment also you have to do just like any other asset. And you might follow cost model or evaluation model like the way what you follow in Ind AS 16. You apply it here also for class of assets. And any remeasurement of liability happens. We'll discuss in detail, but example we already looked at earlier. If index changes, liability changes, that changes in liability will be reflected in this asset, either higher or lower, both case. But transactions we look at later. And what will happen to lease liability? For lease liability, we follow amortized cost basis. Have you heard of this term somewhere? Amortized costs. In Ind AS. Financial instruments. Liabilities also we did, assets also we did. So basically what happens is you recognize one opening balance, that is initial lease liability. You will increase it by interest on this opening balance. Then you subtract it by lease payments, whatever the amount paid, and you get the closing balance which will go to balance sheet. And next year on this closing balance becomes the opening balance. On that interest is computed such a way that at the end of lease term this becomes 0, or the amount payable if you have any guaranteed residual value, that will be the amount available. And you have to adjust for any remeasurement, that is these two things are corresponding points. Any remeasurement of liability will be given effect in the assets, not transferred to P&L. So what are the expense you are going to recognize? On the asset you recognize depreciation, and if required you go for impairment. On liability you recognize interest expense, and variable lease payments which are not connected with index or fluctuation index changes. Those amounts are also going to be part of your expenses. So this is your initial measurement, subsequent measurement, remeasurement and all we have to do, but before that let us look at some problems. Problem 23. Entity X enters into lease for 5 years with single lease payment payable at the beginning of each year. The initial lease payment is 1 lakh. The lease payments will increase by rate of MIBOR each year. Heard of this term somewhere? MIBOR, LIBOR. Again your SFM faculty told, today only he talked about it. Mumbai interbank offer rate, London interbank offer rate, basically rate of interest, a rate, that's all sufficient here, a rate, beyond that we don't have to worry here. On the commencement date of lease, MIBOR is 8%, assume that interest rate implicit is 12%, how the lease liability is measured. Which rate of interest to consider now for computing present value purpose? MIBOR or interest rate implicit? Interest rate implicit, because it is higher rate. Because it is not lower rate. Why not LIBOR? Why not MIBOR? Sorry. That MIBOR is not for borrowing purpose. The MIBOR is applicable on lease rental increase. Lease payments will increase by the rate of LIBOR, which is expected to be at 2%. Therefore, what you should consider, first year what will be your lease payments? 1 lakh. Second year lease payment will be 1 lakh on that 8%. Third year will be on that 8%. So you can't use your annuity factor method and show it the table in 2 lines and get the answer. You have to compute the cash flow for each of the 5 years separately. So let us do that. The interesting point is what is the discounting rate for the first cash flow? It is paid at the beginning of each year. Therefore, first payment will not have any discounting factor, or if you want to write, you will write 1, because discounting factor only starts from year and end of every year onwards. So maybe if you, instead of writing year 1, you may write year 0, or if you are used to write it year 1, 2, 3, 4, you write it, but remember this 1, 2, 3 is not end of the year, is beginning of the year. So one of them you choose. I will choose the SFM approach, that is I'll use year 0 for my reference. But in institute material they would have given year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only. But what they have done is, this year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 according to them is not the year end, is the year beginning. They have not specified, but you have to understand their feelings. That's how it goes. So year 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is sufficient. Discounting factor. Okay, first cash flow will take. The lease payments. 1 lakh. I think year 5 will not come actually, because you would have made the payment at the, this year 1 end means year 2 beginning. You have to understand that. Year 0 is today. But year 1 lakh what you have written is not for year 1. It's actually for the beginning of year 2. 1 lakh, and last 0. That will not come. Again, don't write that, because these are all the payments made for next year. Therefore, discounting factor at the rate of 12%. Okay, that increase, sorry, that's my mistake, sorry, we should increase every year by that number. 1 lakh becomes 1 lakh 8,000, sorry. Okay, so first 1 lakh 8,000, next you get 1 lakh 16,640. Then 1 lakh 25,971. You can take decimals, that's okay. We'll round it off. 1 lakh 36,49. And last year, of course, 0. Discounting factor at the rate of 12%. You can take 3 decimal, 4 decimal, and all. Institute in the SFM material have been consistently different rates they take it, but in FR somehow they always take 3 decimals. That is what they take, but you can take any number, but for me wherever possible I use 4 rates, but you can go with what institute does usually, 3 discounting rates. Okay, let's do 3 discounting rate, 3 digits. For reference, you can go for 4, it will be more accurate. But anyway, in the last year, balancing has to happen by adjusting that balancing figure. Rounding off will happen. First year is 0.893, is that correct? First one, yeah, second year. First starting with 1, then 0.893, 0.797, 0.712, 0.636. Discounted cash flow 1 lakh 96 444 92 962 89 691 86 527 total. Four lakh 65, 620, 4 or 5? 4. Okay. So initial lease liability is 4 lakh 65, 624. How do you calculate directly? How? 1,08,000? Divided by 1.12. Then you write. Then next year 1,16,640 divided by 1.12 equals. Then multiplied by 1 lakh. I can compute the entire thing in calculator only, no? You should show the calculation. Discounting factor also should show the calculation. Because otherwise I'll do 1 lakh m plus 1 lakh into 1.08 divided by 1.12 equal to m plus. So we can do it in less than 60 seconds that calculation. We need to show the discounting factor column also. A presentation wise required. Just a mathematical question, not connected with the subject. What if this lease like this is forever? This is for 5 years. It goes on forever. Every year increases by 8% each, and discounting factor is 12%. How do you compute the present value? I mean, it will not happen. Definitely it will not happen. That's because lease cannot be forever. But I'm just asking mathematically. That's all. That is dividend discount model. D1 by K minus G. Gordon growth model. Dividend increases by every year for growth rate forever, and discounting rate to be one number. You're compounding and you're discounting. That's what's happening here essentially. But anyway, can't help that my brain will be split into 2 parts that will be keep on colliding with each other. But your brain should be split into 8 parts because you are writing 8 subjects. So in a way, I'm safe as compared to you. Next. Entity A and Entity B execute a 12-year lease of rail car. Okay, before that, one small point. I just want to tell you how I prepared this material, especially this standard 115 maybe. Most of the case study questions I kept as it is, institute questions. But whenever they give you some numerical ones, I change the numbers so that you can do it now. And again, by doing study material, you get more practice. So that's the intention that you should do this material also and study material also. Do not consider under any circumstances our material is a substitute for institute material. You can never go against God. Whether you believe or not, God is God, ICI is God. But for our practical limitations purpose, sometimes we have to do our own convenience part. So this problem wise, to get more confidence, you do institute metal also, at least that part. I change the numbers for class purpose. So for the institute solutions also will be there. You will be able to do and verify yourself for your practice. Okay. Entity A and Entity B execute a 12-year lease of rail car with the following terms. So 12-year we should do discounting. Okay. Can we reduce it? It's too much, not 12-year. You have to calculate. Let's see. The lease commencement date is February 1st, 2019. Entity A must pay Entity B first monthly rental payment of 20,000 upon execution of the lease. Entity B will pay 1 lakh cash incentive to enter into the lease payable upon lease execution. Entity A incurred 15,000 of initial direct cost which are payable on February 1st. Entity A calculated the initial lease liability as present value of lease payment discounted using its incremental borrowing rate because interest rate implicit in the lease could not be readily determined. That is their personal problem. They discounted, that's all we want. Okay. The initial lease liability is 10 lakh. Oh, very nice people. You don't have to compute the present value. They have given the present value of initial lease liability 10 lakh. How lessee would measure and record this? That is basically accounting for all the things, different elements what you understood regarding the asset and liabilities. Liability will be only that much, which is given 10 lakh. That will not change. But what will be the impact is on the value of the asset, a journal entry and all what we discussed earlier. Therefore, let us write down one by one. Present value of lease liability, that is our starting point, 10 lakh. Entity must pay B first monthly rental payment of 20,000 upon execution of the lease. They will pay 1 lakh as incentive to lease payable. They incurred 15,000. So the 20,000. Okay, please look at the dates there. When is the lease commencement date? February 1st. On this commencement date only, we recognize all these amounts. But before this date, they have to make a payment of 20,000, which is not part of this liability. This liability will not consider any payments made before commencement of the lease. Therefore, the 20,000, you have to again add it to the value of the asset. It is not transferred to P&L account. So, lease payments or payments made before lease commencement, 20,000. If 2-3 months were there, you would have added all the numbers. Then initial direct costs, 15,000 less incentive received. What is the amount of incentive? 1 lakh. So the initial measurement of ROU asset, that is right of use, ROU asset, 10 lakh minus 1 lakh, 9 lakh, 9 lakh 35,000. 1 lakh because the lessor might say, if you make a decision within 2 months, we'll give you cash back of 1 lakh. Next 1 month lease payment, I will reduce 1 lakh lease payments. Discount benefit that adjusted, or basically it's a benefit for lessee. It's a cash payment made by lessor to lessee. Therefore, we are subtracting the value which is paid out. Okay. Next, 25. On April 1st, 2019, Sun entered as lessee into 3-year non-cancelable lease of an equipment that has an economic life of 10 years, at the end of which is expected to have no value. At the inception lease, the fair value of the equipment is 1 lakh. On 31st of March each year, that is 3 years of lease term, lessee is required to pay lessor 30,000. At the end of lease term, the ownership of the equipment passes to the lessee upon the payment of final lease payment of 28,303. This 28,303 is a additional payments in addition to whatever the amount you paid, so that you get the ownership of the asset. Interest rate implicit in lease is 5% per year, which approximates the lessee's incremental borrowing. Initial debt cost incurred by lessee is 10,000. Discuss the accounting treatment for 3 years. That is, we have to tell what will be the amount of liability to be recognized, asset to be recognized, maybe journal entry to be passed. At the end of every year, how much expense to be recognized, amount to be taken to P&L, how much amount should be shown in balance sheets. So we're just trying to understand the overview of this lease accounting from the point of view of lessee. Okay, let's compute the present value of liability, initial measurement. Then we go for subsequent measurement. Is there any initial direct cost and all? The fair value, why the fair value is given, any idea? In the problem they have given fair value. How do we know why they have given? We should ask them only. Fair value is given, or fair value is relevant to arrive at interest rate implicit interest rate, because implicit interest rate should be the rate at which the present value of lease payment will be equal to fair value of the assets. But they also said interest rate implicit is 5%, which is same as incremental borrowing rate. So this number is actually not relevant for us. It would have been relevant to compute the rate of interest. But as I told you, in FR exam, they will not ask you to compute these rates. Institute is slightly harsh on students, but not so much. So they will not ask you. Maybe once you are done with all these varieties, at next level they can still ask the next layer also, but before that you clear the examination. So that you are not asked to compute the interest rate, but these informations will be given. The reason I am telling you so much is because the content, when they give every content possible, but you should know what is relevant and not relevant for solving problems, because students' mindset is they have given this 1 lakh. Why they have given this? For some purpose. Because we cannot go against the ICI, and if they have given information, we don't make use of it, it's almost like a crime. It is not possible. We should make use of it somewhere. I'm telling you why, where it is used and why it is not relevant for solving the problem now and in the examination context, but definitely for practical life that is important. And that is also from practical point of view, that fair value of the asset, lessee may not be in a position to know, because he is using the asset. You don't know the fair value. It's owned by lessor Only he knows for what purpose it is used, how long the asset will be there. You are just using the asset for certain period of time, and sometimes it is not even coming to you. You just decide how this asset to be made use of. Therefore, even in practical life, fair value to arrive at interest rate implicit may be very difficult. That's why the standard has given you an alternative of incremental borrowing rate. So mostly in the examination question also they talk about incremental borrowing rates. So all these things just to tell you the discounting rate what should be considered. Okay, initial measurement will come to liability, lease, present value of lease liability. I think no other payments and all there, just the basic lease payments. Every year same amount or different amounts? Every year same, but last year there's one final payment. Sorry? Every year you have to pay. What is the confusion there? (31st of March) each year of the lease term, lessee is required to pay the 30,000. Every year he has to pay. Okay. We can compute the amount because every year same amount. I can do year 1, year 2, year 3, and or you can do year 1 to 3. Both way it's fine. But mostly in this case, the kind of cases, the every year amount will not be same. So let us compute every year separately. But as a shortcut, you can do directly also by using annuity factors. So year again, is it payment made at the beginning or at the end? At the end of every year? At the end of every 31st of March, at the end of every year, 1, 2, 3. And again on the year 3, I'll take one more amount, assuming that the option of purchase is exercised. The question is not specific, we have to make an assumption. We'll understand, because even if you assume otherwise, it's okay. If you assume otherwise, that number will not come here. So for understanding purpose, we'll understand how this number would apply. Okay. So lease payments are 30,000 every year. And last year 28,303. Discounting factor at the rate of, what is the percentage? 5%. So what are the discounting rate? 0.952, 0.907, 0.864, 0.864, because last year you get the same amount. Present value, $28,560, $27,210, 25, 920, 24, 454. Total 1,06,144. Okay, let us do the other calculations also, what will happen every year, and then we go for the journal entries and other presentations element. Okay, subsequent measurement. Okay, so that is first we'll do for lease liability, then we'll go do for assets. Lease liability. So we'll start from year. One, two, three. Amount at beginning. Then we are going to recognize interest. Then we will have lease payments. Then we'll have closing balance. So initial recognition is 106,144. Okay, then interest will be charged at the rate of 5%. So what is 5% amount on 106,144? 5307. Lease payment, first year 30,000. And closing balance will be just like the way we compute any other amortized cost, which is 106,144 plus 5307 minus 30,000 equals 81,451. And this becomes the opening balance for next year. On this, you are going to compute interest at the rate of 5%, that is 4073. Lease payment is same. Closing balance 81,451 plus 4073 minus 30,000, 55,524. and this becomes the opening balance for third year, on which we apply 5%. You get 2776. Lease payment is same, 30,000, but last year it should be 28,303. That's what should happen. So what we do, that we'll do the adjustment in interest as a balancing figure. We'll make it as 2779. We'll increase that so that ultimately that will come to 28,303. That is the residual amount. If you are planning to pay, you may pay or you may not pay, but you have to consider that, expecting that you would be paid out. If you pay, this will be closed down. If you don't pay, this amount will be transferred back to P&L account as liability not payable. But assets you have to recognize. Okay, this is on lease liability. Now we'll come to ROU assets. Right of use asset. What will happen every year? You are going to provide, let's say, carrying amounts. Let's have the same format like opening balance. Then there is no two breakup, only one amount will come, which is depreciation and closing balance. So whatever the amount which is recognized, on that amount you are going to charge depreciation. Let's take the SLM, straight line method, equally every year. That is 106144 divided by 3. Oh, there is initial direct cost. Okay, initial direct cost of 10,000. Okay, then that will be added by 10,000. Is there any other thing like lease incentive or something then later? Okay. So 116144, is the number correct? So if you just divide by 3, $38,715. Therefore, closing balance 62. 429, and that becomes next year balance. Depreciation remains same, straight line method. $77,429. Closing balance 38,714. That should be the number because last year you have to write off entire amount. So that becomes the opening balance and that becomes depreciation, and therefore that becomes the closing balance. Okay, this is all with respect to the amounts to be recognized. Let us pass journal entry at the end of every year, and then we'll see what to be represented in P&L account and what to be represented in balance sheet. Okay, journal entries. Have they given the date of purchase or something, or just a lease term? 1/4/2019. Okay, we have the dates. So let's do with the dates. One 4/2019 on commencement. ROU assets to lease liability. What is the lease liability amount? 106,144, and but asset amount was 116,144. That is basically you are having initial direct cost. You can say to bank or you can say to initial direct cost. So if you pass the entry already, you can say to initial direct cost, or you can say to bank directly. Okay, that is 1/4/2019. Then at the end of the year, 31st March 2019, interest expense to lease liability, sorry, 2020. What is the interest expense in the first year? 5307. 5307. Then payment. Okay, one small point. I think it's amount is fine, but I just it struck to me one small issue to be considered is this. Equipment has got an economic life of 10 years. So if your intention is to purchase the asset, then you should not depreciate over 3 years. You have to depreciate over 10 years, not 3 years. But we already solved the problem. So what would have changed is the amount is fine, but depreciation would not be divided by 3, instead it would be divided by 10. So at the end of third year, you would be having some amount. If you use the option, this payment is done and this asset value will continue. If you don't use this option, then this liability amount and asset amount will be set off, and the remaining amount will be transferred to P&L as difference in closure of lease or settlement of lease kind of thing. So this problem we did on small part. We don't want to change everything. So let's change the question itself. Make the economic life as 3 years. And that at the end of which, yeah, those things and let be there, no problem. Okay, so the calculation will continue. So only make one small change, that it's at the end of I mean, the life is 3 years. If we do otherwise, be careful. This mistake can happen in exam because this point was never there in AS 19. We never considered the whole economic life of the asset for depreciating. At the least term only would be there. If you are planning to purchase, then you take the full life. If you are planning to not to purchase, then 3 years was sufficient. But in that case, what would be the change in our calculation? If your intention not to purchase, 28303 would not come in our calculation of liabilities. So just be aware of those intricacies, small points, but overall it can play a big role. Since I've cleared the exam, I can change the question, but you can't do it in the exam. You have to be aware of these points. Okay, so interest expense, lease liability, and payment part, that is lease liability. What is the amount? 30,000 to bank. 30,000. One more will come. That is provision of depreciation to ROU assets. What was the amount? 38,715. Okay, like this you pass for every other year. So other 2 years there's no point in doing it in class. You repeat it. Amounts anyway you know. You can repeat the journal entries. But we'll do summarize on in the case of presentation, how it will happen in terms of balance sheet, P&L accounts, and related to cash flow statement. Presentation. We'll do it in the columnar formats in P&L, year 1, year 2. Okay, we do the years. We can write the years only. 2019-20, 2020-21, 2021-22. In P&L account, we will show interest expense as well as depreciation. It has to be shown separately. It cannot be combined. You can't tell both are related to lease only. I will combine it. Both are having different nature, and also it's going to have an impact on your EBIT calculation and all. Therefore, that is also there. Because of this, your EBIT calculation also will change drastically. Because of this operating lease, I mean this lease accounting being changed. Earlier what you are showing is, if it was operating lease, entire amount was going as operating expenses. Now what will happen? It has broken down to two parts. Depreciation will go for operating expenses, but interest will come below EBIT. Therefore valuations of profits will change. Therefore valuation of company also will change. So share valuation, other impacts will continue. So that impact, that is the purpose of which this standard is introduced. Okay, amounts we have computed already. Let's take those numbers. Interest expense 5307 4073 2779. Depreciation 38715 every year. And last year 38714. That's all I think. P&L in balance sheet. Lease liability. The amount of liability we had 81,451. 55,524. 28,303. again assuming that it is still pending. If it is paid out or if it is not paid out, both ways it would be closed down next year. Then ROU assets. $77,429, 38,714, and 38, sorry, 0. Last year 0. Assuming that the value was 0. If it was the option of exercising and economic life was for last the number of years, that amount would have been there after depreciation. Last one, in cash flow statement. What and all will come in cash flow statement? Depreciation is added back, that is sure. Interest and principal portion both will come in cash flow statement, or we can say that lease payment amount it will come. Basically they will divide into two parts. Let's also do it. Why to leave that? What are the lease payments we had made? Lease payments were total 30,000, 30,000, 30,000, but we'll break it down into interest component and principal component. Interest component is already calculated, and principal component will be 30,000 minus these numbers. $24,693, 25,927, 27. Is that number correct? 27, 221. Finance activity. Principal is a payment towards borrowing, so it will come in financing activity. Okay, one more point we have to discuss, that is regarding, this only, regarding this breakup of, out of this 81,451, how much is, can you think of what is that? How much is to be broken down into current portion and non-current portion? Will you show it as current liability or non-current liability? Second year end definitely current, because only remaining is one more year. But this 81,451, one portion is current because one portion of the payment is happening in the next year and one portion is happening in the subsequent year. Therefore, your current portion will be this number. How much this number means? This number only, 25,927 is the principal paid in the next year. Therefore, this amount will be shown as current, 25,927, and remaining amount, that is whatever 81,451 minus 25,927 becomes non-current. Can you tell me what is that number? 25,927 minus, 81,451 minus 25,927. 55,524, and that is nothing but next year liability. No, we are computing that. This next, out of 81,451, it becomes next year 55,524, means the balance amount 25,927 is paid in the year 2021. Therefore, you can also say from the table what we prepared, this 55,524 is your non-current portion, and the difference between these two, and then that is same as difference between 30,000 and 4073 becomes current portion. They usually don't ask these things in exam, but you never know. Just be prepared. Okay, some things I just tell, we are not writing because questions in the institute is not containing those, but practical also you should be aware of it. Not only for liability, same thing for assets also. It's likely to be closed down within 1 year, so you have to broken down into at least disclosure. You say that current portion is so much and non-current likely to be realized in the value of the assets is so much. But okay, asset we don't break it down, but in the year 1920 it will be under non-current, but in the year 2021 it will become current, because in the, within 1 year you are likely to close down the asset, the use of it. So it will become current asset for the purpose of reporting. You can say leased liability or leased asset, ROU asset under current asset. Okay. So these are the points you need to keep it in mind. And this, both of them will come under cash flow from financing activities, both interest and principal. Okay, so 7:35 now, take a break of 10 minutes, 7:45 we'll meet, 10.